Hi, and welcome back to Medford Anywhere Learning TV. My name is Kirsten Giroux, and I am Associate Director of Artistic Engagement, Education, and Community at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And I am here today with a good friend, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Ben Garcia, Education Coordinator for Southern Oregon PBS, and I'm here at Hedrick Middle School, where I have my flagship project called PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs, and I co-teach that class in the mornings with Ivan Olinghouse under normal circumstances. And today we will be doing the sleuthing activity, which is part 2 to the As You Like It lesson plan, which you can find on pbslearningmedia.org.
And just so you know, the goal of this particular lesson is for students to really uncover, excavate the meaning of the opening speech of As You Like It, and to see how the themes that we explored in part 1 are really introduced right there in that opening speech. Here we are in our socially safe space here. We're nice and distant from each other, and we're going to actually start to work on this opening speech of Orlando's from As You Like It. I want us to go ahead and read the speech out loud and in unison together. All right? So here we go. Get your speech together here on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. As I remember, Adam, it was upon this fashion bequeathed me by will, but poor 1,000 crowns. And, as thou sayest, charged my brother on his blessing to breed me well. And there begins my sadness. My brother Jaques he keeps at school, and report speaks goldenly of his prophet. For my part, he keeps me rustically at home, or, to speak more properly, stays me here at home unkempt. For call you that keeping for a gentleman of my birth that differs not from the stalling of an ox? His horses are bred better, for besides that they are fair with their feeding, they are taught their manage, and to that end riders dearly hired. But I, his brother, gain nothing under him but growth, for the which his animals on his dunghills are as much bound to him as I. Besides this nothing that he so plentifully gives me, the something that nature gave me, his countenance seems to take from me. He lets me feed with his hinds, bars me the place of a brother, and as much as in him lies, minds my gentility with my education. This is it, Adam, that grieves me, and the spirit of my Father, which I think is within me, begins to mutiny against this servitude. I will no longer endure it, though yet I know no wise remedy how to avoid it. Excellent, well read. Thank you very much for that. Just tell me, I know for some of you this is your second time reading it, any words, phrases you remember just reading through it the second time?
Mr. Olinghouse?
Dunghills.
Dunghills,
I haven't
yes.
thought about dunghills for a long time.
Yes, and just to be clear, a dunghill is a big manure pile. Okay, right? Yeah, It's a
Yes.
manure pile. So here we have Orlando is living someplace where there are manure piles. Good, excellent. What else?
For me, the phrase, charged my brother on his blessing to breed me well, that
Yeah.
stood out to me. And I am not the most adept interpreter of Shakespearean prose.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could help me understand that. In the classroom, students probably have lots of questions like this.
Absolutely.
So to me, it seems like breed me well is like mentorship, like that
Great.
he's mentored me well.
Yeah, he needs to mentor me well, but he also literally means, and it's interesting that he uses the word breed, because he's using the word that we would use in terms of an animal, right? I breed horses, I breed dogs, those kinds of things. So somehow Orlando is still using this language of animals, and we're going to talk about that. But what it is, just to be very clear, Orlando's father has passed away. And Orlando is the third son of Sir Roland de Boys. And Sir Roland was a lord, and he had 3 sons. And actually, it's kind of interesting because much of this play takes place in the forest of Arden, and the name de Bois in French means the woods. So he's Sir Roland of the Woods. And I also think Shakespeare's having fun punning with this name because Sir Roland de Boys has 3 boys. Right? So anyway, we're getting some fun here. But Sir Roland has recently died. And as was the tradition in Shakespeare's time, the eldest son becomes the next head of the family. And the eldest son has been charged by Orlando's father to breed Orlando well, to take care of him, to educate him, to bring him up properly. And that's what Orlando is referring to at this point, right? He
So-
was charged to breed me well. On his blessing, he charged my brother to breed me well. There's other words in here too that I want to actually clarify for people just so we know. And honestly, I'm going to tell you some of them, and there may be others that you don't know as well. But as we go through it, he keeps me rustically at home. And rustically means in the country. Okay, when we talk about rustic art, it's very country kinds of art. It's not highly refined. So he's keeping him rustically at home. He's keeping me in the country, Orlando says. And then he stays me here at home unkempt. I'm sure some of you are feeling very unkempt these days, right? We have no need to go out to go to school, to go to work. We're home and we get in our sweatpants and our hair looks schmutzy. That is what it is to be unkempt. So Orlando's feeling very unkempt at home in the country. And then he goes on to talk about, how does that differ from the way you take care of an ox? He says his horses are bred better, and besides that they are fair with their feeding, they get lots of food, they are taught their manage. They're put through their paces. Horses are put through paces for jumping fences and, how to be good horses. So he's saying they get taught all that. But he doesn't. Orlando says he doesn't. Then he goes on, he talks about the animals on the dung hills. And let me see what other words here might be. Oh, he says, as much in him lies, minds my gentility with my education. Let's look at the whole sentence, right? He lets me feed with his hinds, his, goats and his animals, his cows and things like that. Bars me the place of a brother, doesn't let me sit with him at the table of a brother. And as much as in him lies, meaning he has all the capacities, he has all money and all those things, he minds my gentility with my education. He's not letting me become a gentleman and be educated. He's not allowing that. He's denying Orlando this. Okay, does that make sense?
That makes more sense.
He's
now.
treating me more like the animals than making me the gentleman that my father entrusted him to do. Okay?
And I have one question.
Yeah, go for it.
So in the previous section we were talking about, it ends with, to that end, writers dearly hired.
Oh, yes.
So
where
you
is
spent some
that?
time talking about the lines before that, and this line kind of confounds me because it feels kind of like sarcasm. Did I detect that correctly?
Oh, they're taught, well, he might be a little sarcastic, but he might definitely be a little sarcastic because he's saying his horses are taught better, they're put through their paces, and then they get riders, right? Riders are hired to ride them. They're getting the full thing that they're supposed to get. Horses are being treated well. But Orlando's somehow saying he's not. So can I just ask you, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Who is Orlando speaking to? And go ahead and look, you're going to find the answers right there in the text. Who's he talking to?
I believe he's speaking to Adam.
Yes, he is right there in the open. As I remember, Adam. So he's talking to a guy named Adam. Good. And I'm just going to turn this sign around right now over here. And there we have Adam. Okay, so you see him there. He's talking to a guy named Adam. And of course, Orlando is the person talking. And he's talking primarily, who is he talking about? What characters are mentioned in this speech besides Adam?
He's definitely talking to his father.
Okay, great. His father's spirit is mentioned. Good.
He references his brother Jacques.
Great.
Jacques.
It's Jacques. I know.
Jacques.
This is just Shakespeare.
Okay.
He can't call it, it's a French name, but they have to anglicize it. So in French, it would be Jacques. And in English, it's Jaques, okay? So great. He references his brother Jaques, and hold on to that. Who else is mentioned?
He does make an association between animals and insects and
Good.
himself.
Excellent.
So in a sense, he's speaking to nature.
I love it. He is speaking to nature, and in fact, yeah, he is speaking to nature, and in fact, he mentions all kinds of creatures, right? He talks about an ox, horses, what else here? Hinds, right? So he's definitely referencing animals, and I think that's important, so hold on to that too. I love that. Anybody else that's mentioned?
Orlando himself?
Orlando, yes, he says, I remember Adam, so good. Here's what I told you in my little bit of information about the speech. Sir Roland du Bois had 3 sons. Orlando is the youngest son. The brother Jaques is the middle son. And then there's the eldest son, and who's not mentioned by name here. But sometimes that brother is being referred to. And in fact, that's the brother. And Ben, could you turn that sign around for me?
Absolutely.
That's the brother we're going to focus on, okay? What I'm going to ask us to do right now is we're going to read through the speech together again. And anytime Orlando references himself, like the word I, you're just going to put your hand on your chest. I, right? Anytime Orlando references Adam, you're going to point to the Adam sign. And anytime Orlando mentions brother that we think is not Jaques, we're going to point to the brother sign. So go ahead and just take a moment and tell me, what are the words that Orlando uses to refer to himself? What words do you see where he refers to himself?
All those first-person pronouns, I,
Yes,
my,
I, my, good,
me,
excellent, me, good. How about what words does he use to refer to Adam?
he,
Okay. Adam. Even thou. So when it shows up, don't be surprised if you see a thou or something like that, okay? And then the final one is, what words does he use to reference his brother?
My brother.
My brother. Well, there's 2 different ones, right? So if you would see just for a moment, if I'm reading that, I'm going to reference myself here on my, and then I'm going to point to my brother over there. See how that works? So we're going to read slowly. Don't worry about getting all of these references. It doesn't matter. What we're trying to find out, this isn't about being right and wrong. It's about trying to figure out what's on this page. Who is Orlando talking about? What is he talking about? Okay? And when is he talking about whatever the heck it is he's talking about? So don't worry about it. And in fact, you might see me pointing to something and go, oh, I missed one. Oh, good. Now I know that's right. So you'll get information, or you may be the only person pointing on something, and we will learn from you. All right? So don't worry about it. We're just trying to figure out we're untangling a knot of this speech. As I remember Adam, it was upon this fashion bequeathed me by will, but poor 1,000 crowns. And as thou sayest, charged my brother on his blessing to breed me well. And there begins my sadness. My brother Jaques, he keeps at school, and report speaks goldenly of his prophet. For my part, he keeps me rustically at home, or, to speak more properly, stays me here at home unkept. For call you that keeping for a gentleman of my birth, that differs not from the stalling of an ox? His horses are bred better, for besides that they are fair with their feeding, they are taught their manage, and to that end riders dearly hired. But I, his brother, gain nothing under him but growth, for the which his animals on his dunghills are as much bound to him as I. Besides this nothing that he so plentifully gives me, the something that nature gave me, his countenance seems to take from me. He lets me feed with his hinds, bars me the place of a brother, and as much as in him lies, minds my gentility with my education. This is it, Adam, that grieves me, and the spirit of my Father, which I think is within me, begins to mutiny against this servitude. I will no longer endure it, though yet I know no wise remedy how to avoid it. Excellent. Well done. Good. Any observations or discoveries that you made reading it in this peculiar way?
I was definitely more aware of the other brother, Adam, this time around.
Interestingly, just so you know, Adam is not his brother.
Oh.
Adam is an old, and I didn't tell you that, and that's good. This is how we're figuring out who's who. Adam is an old family servant that he's with at this moment. But there is another brother. So, but you were still acutely aware of this person, of Adam. Yeah. So that's great, right? You kind of found those references. I'm actually going to turn around the other brother, just so we clarify him, right? There's the brother Jaques. Okay? So good. You found out about Adam. You were aware of him.
You said earlier there are 3 brothers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So Orlando, this brother, and that brother. Those are the 3 brothers. Adam is an old family servant, so that's good information. Good.
Okay.
What else? Anything else?
The situation that he's in, is that a character into itself?
Well, no, but you're learning something, right? You're starting to know. I said we're going to untangle this knot. What did you learn about the situation that he is in?
Seems like he's been bounced between care with his brothers. That one brother's treating him one way, and he's comparing it with the way his other brother treats him.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's right or not.
Great. He's talking about, you're excavating his situation, and I think actually you are right. But just so you know, he's talking about how he should be taken care of. And this brother, we're going to figure out where's that brother. How should he be taken care of versus how he is being taken care of, right? So that's what you're figuring out. The brother thing, we have to clarify. That's not clear. And that's one reason why we're doing this work, because it isn't clear. Here's Shakespeare saying he and him and, all these things. And who? What? It's like the opening of the play is like we're dropped into the middle of a story. So we have to figure it out. So good. You have discovered his situation. He is not being treated well by that brother. There's another way he should be being treated. And I'm just going to ask you both, if that's it, what is the way he should be being treated? What words in the text tell you how he should be treated?
Mine's my gentility with my education, maybe?
Great, great, good. I should be educated and I should be a gentleman. I should have that. That's what we've got it right there. It's said. So I'm going to ask us to read it one more time, if you can humor me. And this time, we're going to also add, because you all keep bringing it up, the oxes, the animals, the horses, the hinds, and nature, because these are all creatures of nature. And let's just see what else we learn, what we start to understand. Here we go, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. As I remember Adam, it was upon this fashion bequeathed me by will, but poor 1,000 crowns. And as thou sayest, charged my brother on his blessing to breed me well. And there begins my sadness. My brother Jaques, he keeps at school, and report speaks goldenly of his profit. For my part, he keeps me rustically at home, or, to speak more properly, stays me here at home unkempt. For call you that keeping for a gentleman of my birth, that differs not from the stalling of an ox? Oh, his horses are bred better, for besides that they are fair, with their feeding they are taught their manage, and to that end riders dearly hired. But I, his brother, gain nothing under him but growth, for the which his animals on his dunghills are as much bound to him as I. Besides this nothing that he so plentifully gives me, the something that nature gave me, his countenance seems to take from me. He lets me feed with his hinds, bars me the place of a brother, and as much as in him lies, minds my gentility with my education. This is it, Adam, that grieves me, and the spirit of my Father, which I think is within me, begins to mutiny against this servitude. I will no longer endure it, though yet I know no wise remedy how to avoid it. Excellent. Good, good. Observations, discoveries reading through it this time.
The first thing I thought of is this brother, who at this point in the play, very beginning, intro, right?
Very
speech,
opening.
He doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of energy and angst, and being upset at this faceless, nameless person. That's interesting.
And isn't that amazing, right? And who did you feel like got referenced more than anybody or anything else in the speech? I, yes.
Oh, right.
And then who would come next?
Brother.
That brother, right?
Yeah.
So you really feel the tension just in those references, the him, me, right? What did Orlando end with? Did you feel structurally, did he end more with himself or more with his brother?
Brother, I think. Oh, no, I see there's a lot of eyes there, but that...
There is a lot of eyes, but I think he's talking about how he is no longer going to endure it.
Yes.
And he refers to this situation as it with his brother.
Yes.
And that's what they ended on, though yet I know no wise remedy how to avoid this situation with the brother.
Great. But, it's interesting that you're pointing out all those I's, because I feel this and I will no longer, it's almost like we feel Orlando fortifying himself. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it anymore, right? I'm going to keep myself from it. But he does, at least structurally in the speech, he's talking about that guy, but I'm going to change this. I'm going to have agency. I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to let that happen anymore. He ends with himself, at least in the speech. Right, he does. You also brought up, I know no wise way to remedy it. What is the wise remedy, how to avoid it? And I just want you to know that that's also another theme in the play, to look for wise remedies versus impetuous, rash remedies to bad situations. But what is it? And we're getting that right here in the opening lines of the play. What would it be to kind of shift it down and go, wait a minute, let me look at this situation. What would be a good way to manage this? And it's kind of tells us something about the character of Orlando, right? That he's looking for a wise way to manage the situation, not just his anger and his rage that that I think we're starting to feel in here, right?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Good. Yes.
So we have external conflict, internal conflict. We have character.
So
thinking about all these pillars, literary elements.
Sure. But what is the external conflict? Let's just say them out loud, though, just so we can name them. What's the external conflict?
With his brother.
With this brother. What's the internal conflict?
His feelings about the situation with his brother.
Great. And how complicated is that, right? We scratched up some stuff about brothers and sisters. We know that you can love your brothers and sisters and hate your brothers and sisters at the same time. You saw me, I started with brothers and sisters, and I wrote down, I'm a meanie. You know? But I mean, you know, that's exactly, so how great. That's much more complicated than I just hate my brother or whatever.
He wouldn't be looking for a wise remedy if he didn't love his brother.
Exactly. So great. That's That's so wonderful, right? That there's some part of Orlando that has hope. You know, I'm going to tell you the name of his brother in the play. His name is Oliver. And just so you know, when you think about that, an olive is symbolic of an olive branch, which is a peace offering. And so maybe there's something that will happen in the journey of this character that will be an olive branch. Shakespeare's very thoughtful sometimes about the names that he gives his characters. And in that name, I always find that intriguing. And then we have Orlando. Where is he stuck?
On the farm.
He's on the farm, right? His brother, and you'll see as we make our way through the play, or if you were to read the whole play, that really characters, his brother's off at court, you know, the city. He's in the world, where Orlando's stuck on the farm. So here we get that also right away. We're starting to feel that tension. There's going to be whole scenes in the play where characters say, well, I think the city's better. Oh, no, I think the country's better. I think the court, you know, they're going to have whole conversations about that.
I was wondering if that was going to happen, because in my mind, I was thinking the whole time, well, Orlando seems awfully whiny about this whole thing. Shouldn't he be grateful he's in the countryside where it's nice instead of stuck in the city where it's not nice? And I think coming from my preconceptions about which of those two things is the better really shaped my opinion of Orlando.
Oh, well, there you go. And here's just to throw a little bit more of a wrench in that. Many of the characters in this play are going to make their way to the forest. And the forest is called the Forest of Arden, which was Shakespeare's mother's maiden name. And so it always makes me think, oh, it was a benevolent place, maybe for Shakespeare, not the dark, scary wood. But also for Elizabethans, going into the forest meant it was a place of transformation. It was a place where you could go and have the opportunity to become something else and change and transform. Where is this brother, just to clarify where the heck he is? Did it become clearer to you?
Is he in the city?
My brother Jake's, go ahead and look. It's right there in the text.
School.
That's right. He's off at school. And how is he doing there?
Goldenly.
Right? So again, Orlando, this brother's off at college. He's off at university. He's doing a great job. But here I am, stuck on the dunghill. Based on what we've discovered so far, what do you think is going to happen in this play?
The title, As You Like It, doesn't make sense right now, because it certainly seems as though he dislikes it. And so I assume there's going to be some sort of turnaround or a moment of like a 180 flip. It's got to be a story of transformation of some sort, it seems like to me, for, I assume, Orlando, but I'm not sure yet. I'm looking forward to finding out.
Great.
Well, we know that he has inner conflict relating to his brothers, their status, where they're at, what they're doing. So logic would dictate that that's a vacuum that is pulling him. Like, we know he doesn't like where he's at. He's compared it to a dunghill. There's the vacuum of the greater things his brothers are doing and the better places they're at. So I think you could say that he will go. I think you could make that argument quite easily.
Great. Well, that's part of the great fun, to speculate and then to actually watch and see how it unfolds. And I'm not going to tell you.
In the spirit of choral reading, we're going to sign off together. So, thanks for joining us at Medford Anywhere Learning TV.
Thanks for tuning in to Medford Anywhere Learning TV. Medford School District is a place where all are learning, and learning is for all.